Everyone knows that modern day Blizzard is complete garbage. They can literally do nothing right. Let's be real, let's face it. The moment Pirate Software left Blizzard, they were done. They were written out of existence. There was nothing left to keep that sad sack of shit afloat. Pirate Software, even though he did not have mana, was the thing that kept Blizzard afloat. His QA mastery truly made a difference. And now for years, Blizzard has been absolute skillless losers, uninspired, woke, and trash. Man, Blizzard really needs to hire Pirate Software back at this point.
Hey guys, what's up? Mad Season here, back with another video for you. When people talk about World of Warcraft, they're usually discussing one of two versions, current or classic.
Woke garbage, completely boring boomer bait.
Or vanilla, as it's called, and
don't be mad in the comments. You know I'm right. You know I'm right.
And that's because they're wildly distinct, where one has the identity of old school RPG elements, wonky imbalance, community, a lack of microtransactions, or just weird annoying things like filling.
I'll be completely real. I don't care. You know what's the reality of World of Warcraft Classic? Maybe some people that are guilds with like these WoW streamers are gonna not talk about it, but everyone else talks about it openly. People buy gold. People buy a lot of gold. I personally make all of my gold flipping wool cloth. It has literally worked for years. But still, most people buy gold. And it's not even a secret. People are pretty open talking about it. At least in Europe. Maybe it's actually a different deal in America. But in Europe, not only is every single username some kind of play on the N-word based, and well, everyone buys gold pretty much. That's just how it is. I don't care that the WoW token gets implemented or not. It literally makes no difference. Most people buy boosts. They save money or they buy gold and they buy boosts to get boosted to the max level. That's it. No one wants to level any longer. That's the brutal reality of Classic. And I know there's going to be like 10, 20, maybe even 30% of the people left playing this who are going to say, no, that's not true. The journey is Classic. No, it's not. It's not foremost. It's literally log in, do your daily cooldown, then log in once a week and do your stupid raid. That's it. That's it. Optimize how you can press backstab a little bit better so you parse higher. It's bullshit, and everyone knows it.
Your bags with useless quest items that you hold on to for 3 years until you realize you don't need it anymore, whereas the other has a more modernized, streamlined, and goal-oriented flavor where you can buy all forms of character progression. Though they are technically the same game, they're so wild.
Again, I don't care that retail sells character progression. I literally could not care less.
Wildly different from one another. If they didn't share the same name, it would be hard to tell that what you're playing in 2024 is the culmination of thousands of changes from its original launch in 2004. The game is where it's at today due to 2 decades of changes, but there have been certain expansions.
So, we all agree that World of Warcraft died at Wrath of the Lich King, right? I played kind of an experience, but it wasn't that great. I absolutely hated leveling.
That many feel are more drastic than others in this regard, and for the past 20 years, the expansion that many thought to truly divide this classic era and modern is the Cataclysm, and it's for good reason. It changed the world of Azeroth as we knew it, literally. The old world was completely redone, talents were restricted heavily, you can no longer mix and match, only fire mages.
When I played Kata, everyone was talking about, oh, heroic dungeons are really hard. I get into the first heroic dungeon, I'm like, are you all retarded? What the hell is hard about this? It's the same mechanics, but now they just one-shot you. What the hell? Oh, man. I have never raided in retail, But I have a feeling it's probably still as easy as I expect it to be, because every time someone tells me, yeah, Classic has really hard raids or anything like that, when I finally tried, I'm instantaneously like, no, there's like one mechanic. Again, maybe I'm just an elitist because I do play Lost Ark. Well, I did play Lost Ark. Lost Ark had hard bosses, okay? Oh, learning 3 mechanics from a boss is hard. Bro, Lost Ark has bosses with 40 mechanics. 40! Half of them wipe you and wipe the raid. Some of them literally need you to be able to distinguish 3 frames from 2 different 3 frames. Okay? That's harder. Shut up. World of Warcraft's not hard.
Just could use Fireball, for instance. Weapon speeds were normalized. Automated group finding for raids were added.
Group finding is BIS. It's absolutely 100% the best thing ever. Okay? Listen. Now that we have experienced enough of Classic, it's time to modernize. But not modernize how retail is, but modernize, okay? Anyone who ever tells me that weapon speed in Classic World of Warcraft is a good thing mattering, I hate you. Weapon speed is the most stupidest argument ever. It goes something like this. You have 2 options. One option is where every weapon is usable because weapon speed does not actually impact your game. And the other one is, okay, we can only use extremely slow weapons, which limits us to like only 1% of all weapons in existence, and everything else is garbage. Which one is better? No, seriously, tell me, which one is actually better for a game? The fact that weapon speed is actually a huge thing that we need to worry about is one of the dumbest things ever.
And countless RPG elements were flat out removed. It was clear at this point that the design philosophy had shifted, but my argument for this video is that this isn't where this philosophy began, but merely where it accelerated, and its true origins can be found in none other than the Wrath of the Lich King expansion.
Ooh.
Wrath today is looked upon with great fondness, and rightfully so. It was a great expansion, whether it be the Death Knight class, the zones, dungeons, raids, or back when the lore was actually good, instead of just watching Sylvanas body every single lore character in the game.
Oh, they did my girl dirty. Sylvanas was the best character and they completely ruined it. Disgusting. Bam. They also gave her so much unnecessary armor. Okay, listen. The more is visible, the more protection you have. Everyone knows this is true. But no! Modern day World of Warcraft needs to be woke garbage, where we censor everything. What a time to be alive.
Under the service of a Thanos ripoff, rife with self-inserts. Speaking of good lore, I do want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video,
Great sponsor, 10 out of 10.
Back to the video though, going back to Wrath, Arthas Menethil is the subject of this expansion, of course. He's now the Lich King, freshly awoken from a long slumber, and players have to revisit the land of Northrend to stop him, bringing many major features along the way, and many that I post to you today don't really fall in line with what people define as vanilla, but in fact even directly contradict it. So many times people talk about the spirit of vanilla, but what does it actually mean? Some say it's a lengthy leveling campaign. World of Warcraft was developed from 1999 to 2004 in what many describe as the golden...
You know what is vanilla? GDKPs. You know I'm right. Not even half joking here, by the way. GDKPs are a long-standing tradition of vanilla. Getting rid of them was a mistake at the end of the day. Because you know what's the argument against GDKPs? It's the most bitch-ass thing I have ever heard in my life, okay? Even Asmongold has more testosterone than the anti-GDKP takes, okay? The anti-GDKP takes is like this. Other people are gonna get weapons before me. It's not gonna impact my game at all. But other people are gonna just buy the weapons, and I will not get them. I have the choice of not participating in GDKBs, but the fact that other people have different choices than what I like is bad in my opinion. That's the most spineless jellyfish take ever.
Era of MMORPGs, and though they all differed in various ways, a time-consuming leveling process wasn't one of them. Today, leveling in all MMOs is seen as an obstacle, more of a distraction that's meant to be completed as fast as humanly possible so you can get to the real game, where it all opens up, and you repeat the same dungeons and raids ad nauseum 4,000 times over until you get bored and quit. During this golden era, as it's called, however, in regards to leveling, the genre was grindy, time-consuming, and challenging, and although Vanilla WoW, comparatively speaking to the rest of the genre at the time, was actually pretty casual, by today's standards, the 1 to 60 journey has become one of its most defining characteristics, to be sure. But, this being the internet, nobody can really agree on anything, and others believe that the spirit of vanilla is the community. This is a time before dungeon or raid finding, cross-server anything. You picked a...
Man, getting banned by literally every taxi service in Solid was an experience, boys. It was. I was the plague of summoners. I never paid them. In fact, I gaslighted them in saying that this invisible rogue traded me first. Oh boy, was it an experience? It was great. It was absolutely the greatest thing ever. The best part of SOD was just scamming the summoners. Oh boy, man. And then doing a 2-hour Veiling Caverns and at the end of the raid, trying to ninja every piece of fucking gear that the last boss drops, because my god, these people are stupid and they do not deserve good things in life. The true spirit of Classic.
Server, and you could only see, play with, and talk to other players on your server and your server alone. You saw the same names, that really good guild, that big PvP group. The guy you saw getting bodied by Defice pillagers at level 14 is now level 60, clearing through the Blackwing Lair.
You're gonna have 3 pillagers on you, by the way.
Yeah. And combining all of this with social media's lack of evolution at the time, and thus most interaction happening in-game or on Realm forums instead of Discords, the game had, and still has today to a lesser extent, a very community-oriented feeling. Other people say that the spirit of vanilla is innocence and lack of goals. This one is tricky because I think you can chalk this up to not only game design but also inexperience. And with the game being linear, it always has been goal-oriented to some degree. But vanilla represents the era before achievements, where you could just explore a corner of the world, not for internet points, but more for just the sake of doing it. Some say that the spirit of vanilla is the lack of features, or its simplicity. It was before the game had become very bloated with features, as every MMO eventually suffers. One of these...
I'm not gonna lie, boys, okay? If you have arthritis, you believe this shit. If not, then you're like, okay, maybe Dragonflight is not that bad. I don't like pushing one button in vanilla, okay? I would never be able to play a mage and just brainlessly spam Frostbolt, okay? There needs to be at least 3 more buttons that I can press. SOD was pretty okay, honestly, in a lot of these regards, but SOD was also fucking boring. I played Rogue, and SOD kind of just sucked, especially at Scarlet Enclave, because, well, you needed to apply all of your stupid dots, your crimson, blah blah blah, your rupture, your everything, and then you needed to keep it up. Not because it dealt damage, but because it made your other thing, your one spammable button, deal more damage. And that was ass. That's a completely failed way, okay? You have like 4 buttons to press time to time, plus slice and dice. But at the end of the day, you're pressing these buttons because you want your one button that you constantly press to do more damage. Hunters pretty much had a 2-button rotation, and then in Scott Enclave, I think it was just one button rotation. Oh, the good old days. You know? Blizzard just sucks at doing anything right. That is the reality here. Start could have been so much better, but they decided, guys, we're gonna introduce this raid, and we're gonna make it that there's 10 bosses. The bosses are gonna take 2-3 minutes each, and then going to the next boss is gonna require 5 minutes of trash clearing. Doesn't that sound great? How, like, has Blizzard actually ever given the reason why they don't want to remove trash from raids? I mean, fuck, I hate trash. And I don't know a single person who's like, God, I love trash. I have never met that person. And if I met him, I'm probably ending him. So, problem solved.
MMO eventually suffers. One of these things are microtransactions. As it was released during a time before developers found out how lucrative paid progression could be in this addictive genre centered around character progression, and others say that it was super hardcore, which is funny by today's standards, but back in 04 to 07 skill level, having only one raid difficulty was unforgiving. There is no easier mode to run to if you're wiping to a boss to see a raid in its entirety, nor was it widely available on YouTube, because YouTube didn't exist. And really, the only way to see it was to get good. And it goes on and on. No one can really agree what truly defines Vanilla WoW. Maybe it's a culmination of all of this. But getting to the point of this video, what if I were to tell you that everything I just listed disappeared not with the Cataclysm, but the beloved Wrath of the Lich King? Though this was during an era before you could just swipe a credit card to straight up buy levels and gold directly from Blizzard. Told you so, by the way. Leveling was severely nerfed in a few ways. There was an XP reduction that came in the Burning Crusade, but as far as Wrath is concerned, you may remember was also when they added heirlooms, which increased XP gains by 25% total if you were to collect every piece, as well as making the leveling process drastically easier. It was all
I did not know heirlooms gave extra XP. Holy, I just thought they're for idiots so they can press one button.
Also Wrath when they added XP to Battlegrounds, and also the introductory experience was made far easier by buffing classes and regeneration rate. Regardless, it was clear. Blizzard at this point had started to shift their design philosophy to the shiny endgame at the expense of leveling, because that's where the game truly begins, right? That's where
And you know what's the hot take here? They were completely actually right once in their stupid lives, okay? This is the only thing that Blizzard was right about. Taking 50 years to... Imagine now you would need to take half a year to get to like level 80 or 90. I would just not play the game. It's that simple. I would just not play it. Okay? The leveling experience, that's why we have Classic World of Warcraft, and we can... level in it once in 5 years, and after we buy the boost anyway, always from some kind of completely not bot mage. That's just how it is.
See these awesome raids, and you get the shiny loot, and you finish your character so you can earn the luxury of not having to play anymore. Today, it's an extreme. The game has 10 expansions, but you can level from 1 to max in the span of a day, or seconds, depending on how much you value your time versus your money. Speaking of which, Wrath was also when we saw the introduction of major microtransactions. It was also 2008 was when Blizzard's parent company, Vivendi, merged with the Sith of the gaming industry, Activision. We all know how this turns out. Shortly after, the game would see more microtransactions.
Oh, shut up. This didn't do anything. This didn't change anything. Bobby, listen! I said this when Bobby Kotick left. You are gonna be begging for Big D Bobby Original Enver G Kotick to return. I told you that this is gonna happen, and now look at this shit. We're unironically asking ourselves the question, was Pirate Software actually a good Blizzard employee? My fucking god. And that's all because we got rid of Bobby Kotick and allowed a bunch of purple-haired loser feminists to take over the company. When the breast milk was gone, everything was better. That's just the life we live in, okay? Obviously, the people that are the weakest at the totem pole, when they get power, they're gonna fuck everything up. You never give power to weak people. They're a waste of oxygen. If you're weak, you don't deserve rights. It's as simple as that. And Blizzard just decided after Bobby, Big DG, Kotick, and Original N-Word left that they're gonna give the reins to the weak. And now look at it. Oh, Dragonflight's such a great expansion. No, it's not. It's garbage. I actually checked. It's actually shit. There's a bunch of dragons that have a one-dimensional personality of, oh, I'm gonna delete myself for the dragon race. And the other one's going like, no, you don't have to do that. I hate Blizzard and everything they have done. Bring back Bobby. He has spent enough time on his yacht harassing probably his favorite waitress. Okay? Give that waitress a day off and let Bobby come back and take the reins over again. And let this game actually become at least somewhat playable. Oh, I hate this so much. And people were like, oh no, Bobby's bad. You don't know what you're talking about. Bobby's bad. Bobby probably doesn't even know what a level fucking is in this shit game. He just says, put in more stupid $100 mounts because we can afford it at this point. Bobby has no idea that what the hell does even a Vogue storyline mean. And none of this was Bobby's problem. Bobby was the man that just said, okay, shut up. Okay, sometimes a little bit of touching here and there happens. It is what it is.
Transactions through the form of race changes, faction changes, cosmetic pets, and although these were relatively minor compared to today's standards, it's undeniable that Wrath marked the beginnings of the very anti-vanilla microtransaction culture. Many also recall that Wrath was the first instance of widely used group finding through the Dungeon Finder system introduced in patch 3.3.
Literally best system ever. There has never been a better system than the group and fucking Rainfinder. Okay? Literally anyone who is telling you, oh, I like spending half an hour trying to find a group in a bulletin board add-on on Classic is lying to you. Why are they even using a bulletin board add-on if finding a group by manually is so much better?
Where with a click of a button, players would match up with other queued players and were directly teleported to the dungeon. Though on its release, it would be received with widespread acclaim, over the years, its negative effects have become quite apparent, particularly its effect on the aforementioned community. As mentioned earlier, the passage of time.
Oh my god, I hate this community bullshit, okay? Now, the community was never a real thing. The community was as a real thing as guilds made it, and it was as a real thing as people themselves made it. Group Finder did not make the people who are antisocial more antisocial. As they did not interact previously with people on the server, they still didn't interact with people on the server. And the people who were social kept on being social. Group Finder didn't magically completely change the dynamic of existence.
And increased familiarity with the game has done a lot to wear away at the social fabric. But still, and you wouldn't really think of it, but the process of forming a group, traveling to a dungeon, and giving direction and engaging in small talk turned out to be quite an effective way to create the spark that would fuel friendships that lasted decades. Or perhaps a situation where you're grouping with a guildless player who does high DPS. If they're on another server entirely, you no longer get these natural opportunities to meet and play with other people from your server. This would of course accelerate with the addition of the LFR mode in Cataclysm, where guilds weren't even required to see endgame content anymore. But again, this is a design philosophy that began in Wrath. Speaking of raiding, a point mentioned earlier was that throughout Vanilla and the Burning Crusade, an unforgiving element was the fact that there was just one difficulty. No LFR, no normal mode, and it was balanced accordingly. I remember when the Blackwing Lair came out, half of the raiding guilds got Thanos'd because people ran into a fight that wasn't just a reskinned salamander. It actually required coordination, execution, and the rare hunters who didn't play as if they were controlling their character with a DDR pad. This brick wall immediately zoning into the raid filtered out the unworthy. And
also, by the way, this complaint is full-blown cope. Oh, people People 20 years ago were stupider. And that's why the game was different. Yeah, no shit. Well, go hit your head against a goddamn brick wall and you're gonna also be stupider. Is that gonna make the game better for you? I don't think so. YouTube, please, I'm not saying them to do it, okay? I'm not doing that. It's just a figure of speech. But you get the point. Oh, the game was harder because I was stupider.
And there was no recourse. Different difficulty modes were experimented with quite a bit in Wrath. At first in Extramus, there were achievements that gave cosmetic rewards for imposing tricky challenges upon yourself, and later in Old War, there would be hard modes that gave more loot, such as leaving the towers up on Flame Leviathan, or pushing the big red button on Mimeron, to name just a few. But when the Trial of the Crusader came out, it came with a landmark change that would shape the entire future of the raiding scene as we knew it, and that's heroic difficulty. In this mode, the bosses would have increased health, damage, and sometimes mechanics, and as a reward, they would drop more powerful loot. In exchange, however, the difficulty of normal mode would be scaled down to make raiding more accessible to the populace, and encouraging those seeking greater challenges to this heroic mode. Although, again, LFR was in Cataclysm, which was equally huge. It was Wrath was when this design philosophy of more accessible raiding took shape. So, heirlooms, microtransactions.
Oh no. Okay. Going to the level at the end of, well, actually, I do know. Going to the end level that currently retail is on is a bad idea. But some of the things retail have done is a good thing overall, in general, for the most people. That's just how it is. Anyway, that was our boy Matt Season Show 10 out of 10. Bye!